What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about Palantir. I want to give you a good breakdown of what is actually happening to Palantir, go over the data points and where I see things going from here. Before I get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate it. And with that, let's get right to it. So currently it is down 8.45%. Straight out the gate, it just went straight down to almost $14.65. So that's the low for today. $15.85 is the high. And when it comes to it, it is all because of this. So 𝗖𝗓𝗧𝗧, a new analyst rating, or I guess a reiteration. So they did downgrade it. So 𝗖𝗓𝗧𝗧, who does have a 66% success rating from Morgan Stanley, did give a sell, so a downgrade, and a $9 price target, which in my opinion, I do feel that is just a little bit far-fetched given the circumstances and their last couple of earnings, like, and the market right now. It just doesn't make sense. But of course, I am not a financial advisor, so you guys always do your own due diligence. When it came down to it, I did feel that this was a little bit more of an overreaction. So surprisingly enough, I did actually buy a little bit more. So at $14.90, I did sell majority of my position around the $16 mark on its way up. But based on all the data points, I felt like it was right. So once again, there's this. At the time of doing this video, nothing really coming out from the company, whether it be through PR or SEC filings. And when it comes to it, like I mentioned, a lot of the data is all signaling that this is an overreaction. Starting off with options activity, $18 million in calls being purchased today versus 8.68 million in puts. So based on this information, people are anticipating for it to easily trend up from here. Looking at the calls, so this shows all the strike prices, expiry dates. Based on this going into the following couple of weeks, it is anticipated to be above 15. So anywhere from about $15 to $16 within that range. So once again, confirming it going up. When it comes down to options activity, like this or this, it is just merely a sentiment. It does not move the stock price, so just be aware of that. As far as big money buying the dip, there was a little bit more transactions today, and based on the bid and the ask, you can tell right here, anything that does show an ask is a essential buy. So I think a lot of the big money is buying today because they see a lot of good opportunity and upside with it. Clearly not Morgan Stanley though, so who knows? Let me know your thoughts on that, and do you think that Keith is correct? For an analyst, 66% is fairly good, in all honesty. I'm not going to lie about that, but technically I just feel $9 isn't really justifiable. But again, I could be wrong. If you're looking for a lot of good compiled information such as analyst ratings, forecasts, even the latest Morningstar report, which on a side note does show the fair market value for Palantir being $11, you can take a look at Interactive Brokers. I have a link to them in the description below for all of this to be completely free. So take advantage of that. But as far as this, these are all the transactions that have occurred on the dark pool, which is pretty significant. In general, it's always pretty significant for Palantir. So again, just something to be aware of. Dark pool, unfortunately, is linked to shorting, and I'll give you an overview of what shorts are doing. So this definitely has surpassed more than 250 transactions, and this is just over $100,000. So pretty big transactions. As far as what shorts are doing, so short score is currently 44, utilization is 14.68%, and just for transparency, I'm just bringing this up as a benchmark, as a tool, not because I think it's going to be a short squeeze. And yeah, just be aware of that. So right now, shorts are actually returning 1.53 million shares. And so once again, I analyzed this information, and the fact that they are returning shares on a red day instead of increasing and trying to double down, they see this as an overreaction. So like I mentioned, a lot of the data points are all pointing to the exact same thing, that this is an overreaction. 7.22% of the free float is being shorted, 132.58 million shares overall are being shorted, and cost to borrow average is currently 0.63%, so very, very small. So like I mentioned, as far as this, there's not going to be a squeeze, but it's still interesting stuff to kind of see and monitor. As far as the technicals though, so just kind of zooming out a little bit right here. So as you can see, it is wedge bound between the 50 and 100-day moving average. It did actually start in the higher percentile of the Bollinger Band. Unfortunately, it did break into the lower, but I do feel, like I said, a lot of it's not down and out, the technicals, by any means. Even yesterday, in fact, it tried to break out above the 50-day moving average. And generally, when it comes down to Palantir, the 50-day moving average is key. So as of right now, with it being at $14.96, it is currently trading between this S3 and this S2. Or sorry, my apologies, S2 to the S1. So $14.83 is a very strong support. So you need to watch that to hold going into the next couple days, or I guess Friday. $16.10 is that next strong resistance. So once again, I think it's a little bit far-fetched out of that, but you have to anticipate a lot of volatility because the gap between these is very wide. So there's going to be a lot of volatility as a kind of a backing of that. But generally speaking, I do feel that it's just going to be trading within this range most likely. And I do feel that a little bit more optimism towards it breaking up or higher, I mean. And as far as these data points, looking at the momentum indicator, oddly enough, they are getting out. So retail is getting out for some reason. Stochastic is showing very optimistic, so very bullish sign, so black line above the red, but it is at 63 as of right now. So if it does continue to go up a little bit more, then it's going to be considered overbought. So you kind of have this imbalance a little bit, but generally speaking, the majority of the data points I did bring up are all pointing that this is a very big overreaction. So I do feel that this is a very optimal time to get in, unless you are a fan of this analyst right here. Like I mentioned, Keith, who gave a $9 price target. But even outside of that, Maria Perez from Bank of America gave who does have a 62% success rating, gave an $18 price target. So you kind of have complete opposite extremes. And it's weird to see Morgan Stanley start to do this because they were starting to become very optimistic on a lot of these growth stocks, but I guess clearly not. Let me know your thoughts on all this. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. Take advantage of this promo as well. Today is the very last day. Sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock can be valued up to $2,000, and you also get a $50 cash reward. So this is one of the best promos out there on the market, so take advantage. It is only up until August the 31st. Like I said, with that said, I appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money on Palantir.